Good evening, guys. It's me and my partner in crime, OMONDI Juma. You know how we do it, OMONDI. Every day is the agenda day. Every day we're talking to each other on WhatsApp. How you doing, man? How you doing, man?
I'm happy to be here. It's been a long day, like yourself, and I'm really interested to talk about these topics that you got lined up for us tonight, Mr. B.
Let's go with it, man. Let's get the show on the road. As we said, let's get the show on the road. I'm hoping there's a certain solo in the chat so we can so he can give his 2 or 3 pence worth. But boy, it's finally happening. Players are beginning to be weeded out. I'm delighted with. Obviously, we ain't buying nobody, so at least I'm hoping that there's going to be some outgoings. We're not going to make any profit on these players, as I said yesterday or the day before. The only one that really made us any money is Dan James, and I think that's disgusting. To be fair, you know, we've lost 32 mil on Fred. He's served his purpose. He's given Solo hours and hours of joy. So look, the price has been set at 20 mil on one day. Is that too cheap? Is that a price that will get him out the door? Is it something that we can deal with? What are you thinking?
Well, initially, when I heard the price, I was like, oh, my God, that's too cheap. Because obviously we paid 50 million for him. But then when you read the finer details, he's on the last year of his contract, which should matter. It doesn't when we're buying players, but it should matter. And he's 30 years old. So the next contract he gets is probably going to be his last contract at the highest level of football. I don't think we should sign him up for another 3-4 year contract. We need to move on. He's a player from the past. He's done his job. We signed him in 2018. That's 5 years ago. And he's if you were to rate him out of 10 for his performances, he's been there, I would just about give him a 5 or 6, barely.
5.
I don't know what people think in the comments, but that's my take on it. But like I say, a year left on the contract. 20 million is not bad for Fred, who's an international player. And I think whoever he goes to, whether it's a Premiership side or wherever he goes, they're talking about Fulham. I think he'd do well for any club because he's got the experience. He's an international and he's played at a big club. So he'd be a good person to have around. Not just that, he's a good professional, I believe, Mr. B. He's good player, always smiling, always seems professional, always puts the work in. So you've got to get in a good pro for 20 million pounds who's played at the highest level. His CV's packed and stacked. I think that's a good deal. And I know people like me initially would have been like gasping, saying, no, we want more. But I think that's realistic, and we're being fair in the market, unlike other clubs. When we're dealing with clubs, they're not being fair, but we're being fair. And there's other people we can talk about in the show today, which is showing crucially how fair we're being, man, when it comes to our players. Do you agree with me? Like what I'm saying about you shocked initially, Mr. B, about 20 million, thinking it's a bit low?
No, I want him gone. Okay. I want him gone.
No, but all right. That's
price wise. No,
okay. Look, is he worth 20 million? Or do you think he's worth more?
No, I don't think he's worth any more than 20 million. If we get 20 million, I think the club will be happy. It's just whether or not Fred, look, living in London, he's going to love all of that. You know what I mean? I don't see any reason why what's he going to do? Stay a year? His price has been set, so obviously he knows he's got to go. And just at the end of the season, he was saying about, he enjoys the club and he wants to be fighting for his place, blah, blah. So obviously he must have heard the little thing and tried to publicly say, he's dying to play for. No, man, bounce. It's good. I'm glad that the purge is starting, and it's the players that we feel should be gone or should be leaving. Not obviously, we'll have a discussion about the next one in a minute, but yeah, at least it's somebody who we feel should be leaving the club.
Yeah, well, certainly. A lot of comments coming in now. Everyone's saying hello, good evening. So polite, aren't you? You're lovely people. Bath time saying Fred for 20 million is a lot for a 31-year-old with 1 year left in his contract. So you're saying that's even a lot of money. So contrast though, we've come to more comments. Vince saying I heard Fulham 1 through 8. I don't understand what that means. I've heard Fulham 1 through. I don't understand. Sorry, Bart is saying the 20 million for Fred is too low. City would get twice that. He's saying there, so maybe being mugged off here.
They wouldn't have bought Fred.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. But they've just bought. Who have they just bought? They've just bought from Chelsea. They bought in the Serb. Yes, Andy, how you doing, man? I'd like to hear Andy's take on this. But Man City just bought the Serb from Chelsea for 30 million.
Is that much they paid for him? Kovacic,
yeah, 30 million, I think. So we're getting rid of Fred for 20. Is he better than Kovacic?
Hell no.
I think he is. Bath Time's here. Monday, we're taking back. Will you take back what you said about Mehdi being boring? He's been incredible. I don't know who's Mehdi. Hannibal? I don't know. Who's he talking about, Mehdi? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, can we get Andy's take on this? Because Solo's in the house. And Solo, you're just in time because we're all going in on Fred. 20 million to Fulham. Is that a good deal or not? Andy?
I think Fulham are paying over the top. Seriously. It's he's a £10 million player if that. He's Jekyll and Hyde. He's hot and cold. He turns up in the big games. Then he'll drop an absolute clanger. Then me and Mr. B, an absolute. He spits his milk out. I'm pulling my hair out. That's what Fred does. You know what I mean? We're 2-0 up against Tottenham in the running.
Yeah.
He brings on Martial, Fred. Lose the ball. Sorry. Yeah, under pressure, he can't do it. But when he's not under pressure, he can fly. So I think Fulham are paying way over the odds. Man United's recruitment department is absolutely pathetic, selling and buying. I mean, we will talk of what happened with Iqbal today as well later on, but absolutely farcical. Seriously, it's a comedy sketch. It's Monty Python's Flying Circus. This fucking recruiting department.
Eddie's saying here, 10 million is harsh. I think Fred gets nervous at the top level and fit nicely in a lower team below.
Fred gets nervous. I get nervous in the Greg's queue. That's bloody nervous. Queuing up at the bus stop when it's chucking down the rain at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's nervous. You get bloody nervous on a football pitch. Live over.
Are we being a bit cruel on Fred? Because Anthony Herbert saying here, yeah, I'll sell him for 20 million. That's championship material right there. Is he championship? I mean, he's been playing at a big club for a long time now.
He's a Prem on Monday. He's a Prem player.
He's not a championship player.
Yeah, he's a Prem player. He could do a job.
He could say he went to Fulham and they got relegated. He'd probably thrive in the championship. I mean, that's the only way he'd play. You get Fulham end up getting relegated, but
Jesus
Christ. Hold on.
He's a Brazilian international. Come on, man.
Hold on. How come we paid 50 million for him then? Was that something about scouts? Did we not?
Man City wanted him.
Okay.
From Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yeah. And
we were like, oh, we got to get him. Like, yeah, bang. Did Mourinho want him? No. £57 million. And he didn't play. I think he didn't play for the first 11 games. Mourinho didn't fancy him. I remember that season, 17-18 season. Didn't fancy him at all. So, very disappointing. And he came on, scored against Wolves. And then he went sort of quiet again. He turns up now and again. He's been good for us in that. Matt Fred. If you remember a couple of years ago at midfield, you could drive a bus through it. You could drive a bus through that midfield. And Ollie always bats him. He always provides me with energy. They're all energy. When we watched the games, there was no energy. He was just going right past him like a ballerina. So, look, Fred can do a job for somebody in the Premier League. I have no doubt about that. But our recruiting department, I say selling department, recruiting department, you got to wonder who's in charge, really. I mean, is it Beavis and Butthead, Arnold and or Fudge, whatever. There's a new technical guy in from Adidas, isn't there?
Yeah,
Seen that yesterday.
He's
Story there then. What's all that about?
he's I can't remember what role he's coming as, but the fact that we're sponsored by Adidas and he's the head of it, I just think that uh, that's all about marketing. As soon as those people, I'm gonna try and not swear with a watershed. As soon as those people get out, watch the shirts go flying, and he's already in the club. I'm telling you, man, it's all a big link, man. It's all a big link. I said it before, and I keep saying it.
Okay, just a couple of comments you want to respond to. Errol's saying here, Pep wanted him, so he's not a bad player. Talking about Fred. Also saying if he was at City, we would be saying what a good player is under Pep. Is it a case that he's a good player just playing under a poor Man United side the last few years?
No, Fred's a poor player. He can't pass 5 yards. We've seen it on Monday. We've seen it, man. I don't even know why we're trying to defend him. Fred is shit. Yeah, if we get 20 million for him, I think it's great business.
What did he say? I only carry the piano. I cannot play it. You're damn right there, Fred.
He's the bloody wheels. There you go. The bloody wheels, yeah?
You carry the wheels. You carry it up the stairs. But do you put it level up for players to play on it? No, you don't, mate. All you do is carry it, and you're just like, oh, man. But if he goes, like you say, I'm not going to miss him. Maybe Fulham, maybe another team coming in after him. I mean, that Fulham manager, you see it the last day of the season. He gets off the team coach. Fred, can I have a word? Can I have a word? You know what I mean? Yeah, everyone with the mobile phones out. So it's one of those, isn't it?
What will be Fred's everlasting memory for Man United? When you look back in a few years' time and some of your grandkids ask you, oh, tell us about Fred. How would you sum that up? Mr. B and Andy, what would you say about Fred?
Well, A, I ain't got any grandkids, and B, I can't remember anything about Fred playing. Maybe his goal against Barcelona, that's it. When he sort of scoffed it, that's about it. That was a famous goal, but nothing else really, mate. Nothing. If he scored the winning goal in the cup final against City, he'd be forever remembered, wouldn't he? Yeah. But he didn't. He's just one of them players just passing through.
Agreed. He's a vanilla player. The only thing I would say to my grandkids is hopefully Solo will be alive, and I will give them his phone number and say, phone Uncle Solo, and he will tell you all about Fred. And then when they come and tell me, I say, I told you he was senile, didn't I? So no, I've got nothing positive to say about Fred. I've got
nothing bad to say about him. No,
I've got nothing. Yeah, okay. He was just
nothing positive.
Yeah.
But how's that looking? I mean, you talked about the partnership. It was called McFred, the McTominay and Fred partnership. That's memorable for the wrong reasons, obviously. But that's something that was formed. I think he was always smiling. He was always a happy player on the pitch. His work rate was good. You got that with Fred. But something here from Jeff was saying, you go to the games, Andy, and you're a big guy. You're strapping 6'2" unit. But he says when he walked up his first match, he was shocked at how small he was. Do you think that's an issue for being so small?
He gets shoved off in every game. Yeah. Every game he gets buoyed off. So it does. It's
not a problem for Martinez, is it? So it's a mentality thing. You know, you get shoved off the ball left, right, and centre. It's a mentality thing. Martinez, he goes on that pitch with his butcher's knife and still dripping with blood. That's his mentality. Fred is. I'll never forget the smile's brilliant. You know what I mean? If he ever retires, he could do what you call it. He could do a toothpaste commercial in Brazil. You know, toothpaste, Aquafresh, whatever, mouthwash. Fred's smile is infectious. That's about the only good thing about Fred.
Bath Time saying here, Fred's best moment was his singing video where he said, "Fred is a red." It all went downhill after that. Best moments, guys, for Fred. What are we saying here?
It's going to be silent.
Sports could say Fred was a star in Paris in the old famous comeback. Yeah, do you remember that game against Paris? Fred played a dream. That's like the equivalent of Keane at Juve.
Okay, so he played, how much games has Fred played? 5 years, Mr. B. So Fred's probably played, what, 150, 200 games? And there's nobody here can talk about any great friend. We've got one game out of 150. I think that shows his level on Monday.
One thing I'll never forgive him is the back pass from Fred in the FA Cup quarter-final against Leicester. When we had the chance to go, it was half-time. We knew the route to Wembley. It was there for us, and we went out and lost. And he played that back pass. I'll never forget that. That still irritates me till this day. No, come on! It's an FA Cup quarter-final, and you know, like you say, you fancy yourself for it, don't you? It's like, bloody hell, man. We could have gone on and won that FA Cup in 2021. You know what I mean? And if you win the FA Cup, you don't lose the Europa League final. You know what I mean? That's the mentality, because we just qualified for we just beat AC Milan on a Thursday. Remember that?
Oh,
We got into a quarter final against Roma. Wasn't it something like that? It was at a semi-final. And you go without, and you just so weak.
Oh,
you know, win the FA Cup that year, you win the Europa League as well. So weak-minded mentality, Fred.
Weak physically and mentally, according to Andy. So Fred was a dentist's dream, said Viking Red. Fred doesn't fit Ten Hag's methods. End of, says Big G. Miss Big Up from Stephanie Griffiths. Back again. Welcome, Stephanie. Broccoli was mine. That's from Andy.
Oh, yeah, broccoli. Yeah.
Listen, I nearly dropped a big F word, boy. Yeah, man, that son of a bitch killed me on screen, boy. Oh my god. Yeah, that's my memory. See, completely wiped it from my memory banks, Fred. That piece of shit.
I mean, when you compare Fred to broccoli, I mean, no brainer, really. I take the broccoli because it's energy. It gives you goodness. Not Fred.
Vincent's talking about his teeth. He met him once, had a great set of teeth, and asked if they're real. He said yes, and they are my very own teeth. So they've had a conversation. Gravenberch and Thuram on the way to Liverpool. So we've got a void in midfield, and these two players could be going to midfield for the midfield in Liverpool. The market is moving on decisively, and we're looking like Darwin evolves in a good night. Okay, they're talking about Liverpool now. I don't like that. Fred swapped back for Pereira. Who's a good player for most interceptions I think he had in the league for Fulham. And good evening from Stumpy Candletop as well. Lastly, when we talk about teeth, Bart saying Firmino would have the perfect number 9 for Ten Hag's system, as with Tadic. However, he's already been played for us, so that's not going to happen. And Stephanie's saying here, if Fulham want Fred, ask about Paulino. Need to start doing some smart deals like you used to.
Vegas tricks, I agree.
Superb.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say this. I think Fred's been really blessed to play for Man United, I feel. I don't think he's ever been of the standard. But one thing he has shown is professionalism all the way. He works his ass off, and I have to give him that. But yeah, he won't go down as an all-time great for me. He goes to go down as a guy who played in one of our worst times as a Man United fan in my lifetime anyway. I can think of so many midfielders that I'd rather see in there than Fred. But good luck to him. If it is 20 million, I was shocked at first, but when we have weighed it up, I do think it's a good deal.
I tell you what doesn't sound like a good deal. Bloody Zidane Iqbal. Please, somebody explain this to me. Look, Mondays kissed his teeth, right? I know what that means. Andy's shaking his head. Guys in the chat, I mean, I have no idea what's going
on. I get some paracetamol because this is just stupid.
It makes absolutely no sense. We're selling him for €1 million. It's not even pounds. It's bloody euros. And we've got a significant buyback clause. Now, unless that significant buyback clause is 99% of the fee. Not buyback, sorry. Sell on. Unless it's 99%, it makes absolutely no sense to me. I did hear that he had a little word with him. I was trying to find the article today to get it up, but I couldn't find it. You know, my brain's like a sieve, so I couldn't even tell you where I saw it. Maybe somebody confirmed that.
Or something last year.
Yeah. I mean,
what happened on the tour, didn't it?
Yeah.
Would he have held it for so long?
Yeah,
Someone
so here
happened on the
it is.
floor.
It was filmed, and Ten Hag was heard shouting, "Keep it down" or something like that. When they were doing some ball drills, he was saying, keep the ball down on the floor," or something like that. Bath Time saying there's some clips of Ten Hag shouting at Iqbal in training for not doing what he told him early in the season. That was in the on tour, I believe.
That can't be an excuse, though. That can't be an excuse.
He doesn't seem. Ten Hag doesn't seem to be the person to hold a grudge. Like,
No, he's not a grudge person. I
yeah,
mean,
because
he'll give everybody a clean slate, and it's maybe it's just I don't know. I mean, he sees something in Garnacho, but to let him go to Utrecht for €1 million or £1 million, it's unbelievable. I think it just shows the incompetence of the transfer department when you got Richard Arnold and everybody else up there. Richard Arnold, you may have helped my dad, but you're not helping Ten Hag. I'm telling you. You give me daddy's season ticket back and fair play, thank you. But you are not doing any good for my dad to watch his team at all. Talent's just going out the window just like that. It's a joke. You might as well just... We should have paid them £1 million because they're that incompetent.
Andy, is it a case, we've looked with Angel Gomez, Paul Pogba, they felt they were ready. They're training with the first team. They're in and around the first team. They probably felt they were ready to play for the first team. And they're probably knocking on the door and they're being told to wait. So is it a case of not being patient enough, as we saw with Sancho at Man City, why he had to leave? Because he felt he was ready as well. Do you think it's the same case with Iqbal, that he's training with these guys, he feels he can do a good job, he's not getting the opportunities, so he's frustrated and he doesn't want to wait patiently? Just to Phil Foden was question marks about Phil Foden at City at one point, saying he's not getting enough game time.
I wouldn't put it past United to sell Zidane. I won't put it past them in this window. You know what I mean? To raise some funds, Zidane, and he's another talent, incredible talent.
We're talking about Zidane, aren't we? Iqbal.
How was that?
Yeah. You've been drinking.
This is what it does to you. Iqbal, I thought it was another plate. He said that.
He turned up at training when he's sold. Say no, I'm Zidane. You sold Iqbal.
New transfer department.
Well, now you know who we're talking about. Yeah. I swear. Oh God.
This is what happens when you got no football.
Yeah. Well, so what are we outraged? Is it an outrage, or is it just to develop the player, to help him, to say go on?
How can it be? He could have. They could have loaned him to Utrecht for a year.
Right.
They didn't have to sell him.
Ahmed, a year's loan. See where you are in here, lad.
Thank you.
All right. Is it a possibility that there's someone in the youngster coming up as youngsters who's even better than him?
I don't know. Has Ten Hag seen somebody at Utrecht? Maybe there's a player there, and letting him go. And in the future, there's a player there for United and Utrecht. So I say to Ten Hag, you got first dibs. We don't know that. If there's somebody there to come the other way in the future, maybe there's a young talent coming through the ranks. I don't know. Only Ten Hag knows.
Okay. I want to say hi to Man United. He's in the house as well. Just going back on this, Ten Hag was shouting at him for not keeping the ball and calling him an effing idiot. And Emma's saying he might be shite in training against the seniors, or he might behave badly. We just don't know what goes on behind the scenes, which is a really good point. Viking Red is saying here, if Iqbal played for Liverpool, he'd go for 15 million. Man United saying Iqbal should have been sold for 10 million. I'm more like that. Yeah, I agree with that. If he'd been sold, he's an international as well, isn't he? If he'd been sold for that, there must be a sell-on and a buyback clause. No buyback, but there is a sell-on.
No works at a sell-on, but nobody's saying what the sell-on percentage is. That's the issue that I've got.
Didn't you, Mr. B?
You should at least got 10 million for him. 15 million pounds.
We're bloody broke.
We got Malassi off for 13 million. You know what I mean? That's a bargain. That's a steal. So United should at least got over 10 million pounds for him. Makes no financial sense.
Got two good comments here to read out. Emma's saying, any of you considering that it's Iqbal who wants to leave to get first team football? He's like 20 years old. You don't want to keep a player like that if he doesn't want to be there. And also, Sports Chris is saying, let me explain. United have the most overrated youth players in Europe. We keep hyping them up, then lose them for free. Tunzabi, Ethan, Angel, Gomez, etc. It's time we start selling them. We're going to respond to all this. Iqbal 1 million has sold, saying here. Bath Time saying, I don't know if losing Iqbal for $1 million is a bad deal. He was nowhere near the first team, didn't get a loan like Fish and Savage, and couldn't get a game in the busiest season ever.
Januzaj, do you remember Januzaj? He was a product. He was so hyped by David Moyes. He had his own song and everything, and he was tearing it up for about 6 months. Then Louis Van Gaal came in. You never seen him again.
So how do you feel about that? Are these guys writing the comments about maybe him wanting to get a move, Mr. B, and get frustrated at 20 years old, being an international as well? 2, they're saying here we need to start. They're not good enough. They're not as good as we think they are. The youth players in our academy, we sort of build them up, don't we?
I mean, we do. Let's be honest. But Ten Hag, I don't. He sees him in training every week. He sees what goes on. As I said, somebody mentioned about his attitude in training. Maybe it is. I just don't understand it. I don't understand, one, the price, or 2, the fact why he wasn't just loaned out for a year, which means that to me that Ten Hag definitely doesn't want, or he has no intention of wanting to stay. We'll know. We'll find out in time, I suppose.
Third option for you to chew on, Mr. B, saying Big G saying here his contract runs out in 2025 with another year to extend in 26. So something must have gone on behind the scenes. Have you any indication of bad attitude or anything like that?
Look, I have no idea. I have no idea. I can't sit here and act like I know my satellite's working all the way, man. I have no idea.
It's scary, though. It's scary. Like you say, if he starts tearing it up in the Dutch league, then like say, you know what? Ajax come sniffing round. Feyenoord come sniffing round. Yeah. He could go out the same way as Bellingham. You know what I mean? He could work his way up to that sort of level. You know, his next stop, Dutch league, Ajax, maybe Bundesliga. And it's scary. Where'd you go from there after the Bundesliga? If he progresses, he could be playing Champions League football within the next 2-3 years. You don't know. Just a stopgap, like Ireland. There's Haaland. It's a stopgap. Salzburg, this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? Dortmund, Man City, and United. United fans will be cursing. But that department will go and say, they'll come out with a story, won't they? We didn't want him anyway. He had a bad attitude, blah, blah. Cover up, PR, spin. Spin the plates, everybody. We need to spin all these plates.
And you know what? To be fair, you've got a point there, because he's not going to speak out against the club. Even if it's not, whatever the reason, if the club spin it, as Andy said, bad attitude, he's not going to say anything, because it could maybe ruin his career further down the line. Martial made a comment about when when Jose destroyed him in training, and it was put out that whatever the situation was, it's only now since Jose's gone that he's come out and said, well, he was a young player, he thought Jose was wrong, but he had to accept certain things and get on with it. I mean, look, it's just no benefit. His level hasn't really stepped. But at the same time, I'm wondering if it could be something like that.
Do you remember an Ajax player in Ten? There's a clip going around of Ten Hag telling an Ajax player, "Get in the pit. I want you to warm up. You're going on." Shaking his head. No. You never saw him again. He left Ajax within about a week or a month. You know what I mean? Dropped, and it's maybe it's something like that. I don't know, but
guys,
it could come back to bite United in the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
and
I wish him all the best though if he is going, because I
wish him all the best. I tell you what, Utrecht, it's like was that Steve McCladden's old club?
No, it's 20 FC
20. Somebody said it was Ten Hag's. There you go, Sports Chris. Yeah.
So Utrecht is Ed Ten Hag's first coaching job, so maybe there's a master plan there. You mentioned you were sort of
maybe there's a buyback fee. You know, I'll send you there, lad. You can prove to me what you are. Or if there's any players that are coming through Utrecht, we got first dibs on them. But maybe this is building bridges, solidarity, making some connections in the Dutch league. He's thinking ahead, but he's like, you tear it up, lad. We'll be back for you in 3 or 4 years. But You know what I mean? Maybe we don't know what the contract is. It's a sell-on fee. Maybe it's a first refusal.
There's a great comment here from Uncle Dubious. He said, "Oh my God, Zidane Iqbal to my local club." So obviously he's Dutch. He said, "Utrecht in the house." So he's super excited. Whereas we're gutted. Emma's saying here, we bought a bunch of youth players in 2020. There'll be others that will come through as well. Bath Time said he'd take 500k for Brandon Williams, to be honest, which is true, probably. Bart saying here, Ten Hag's first professional club of Utrecht. Go Ahead Eagles were the first. Oh, sorry, it wasn't Utrecht, it was Go Ahead Eagles. Bart was the data there. K Mbappe saying we better not sell Manu next. Kobe, I like him. He's a good player.
Do you know what? Can I say?
Go on.
Do you think it's because? See, we're looking at the Manu is now overtaken him in the pecking order. If you kind of look, maybe he doesn't see a space for Iqbal at the club.
Do you see enough talent
Further
in
down the
Iqbal?
line, maybe he wouldn't.
Do we see enough talent in Iqbal at his stage of his career to be a top 4 Euro Champions League player?
I thought he was decent. I said I can't judge that, but I thought he looked like it slim. Yes, granted, not very strong, but he had the aggression. And maybe it's too much aggression.
Was it that challenge he did at Anfield?
That was Hannibal.
It was Hannibal.
Yeah.
Which maybe they're making room. Maybe they're making room for Hannibal. Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen with me either. Viking Red saying, I can't understand this, but they're paying too much money at youth level. I would sell Amad Diallo for 40 million, says Man United.
No.
I'm keeping him.
I'm keeping him.
Yeah, I'm keeping
Why?
him.
What's
Sancho? Jadon Sancho needs competition, and he needs a boot up the arse for the next season. Because if you start the season with safe zone mentality, you've got, like say, you've got Palestra and you've got Thingy as well, Ahmed vying for positions. So definitely.
Viking Red saying Woodward fucked up the. I shouldn't say that. Youth pay section. Sorry for swearing, guys. Iqbal's 20 years old, says Emma. I hope he pushed for a move himself to get his career started. It's not a little bit sad. If not, it's a little bit sad if he doesn't. McNeil was at Man City as an academy graduate, while Garnacho was signed from Atletico Madrid. Bath Time saying here, what do you want to do with him then, Andy? Keep a 20-year-old in the reserves till the Bundesliga ready, or play someone that's not good enough in the first team. Viking Red saying some young lads are getting paid more than Bournemouth players. So are they getting overpaid, these youngsters? It looks like they're getting big money. Big welcome here from Solo to Uncle Dubious, man. Big up, Uncle Dubious. Welcome to the channel. And like, if you Utrecht are your side, I will be keeping tabs on Zidane Iqbal if that does go through. Also, I want a big shout out to Shah as well. He's saying Project Rebuild. Unfortunately, there's going to be players who won't be given the opportunity they personally need. You have 15 years as a pro, and if you're sitting there wanting to play ball, there's a question mark there. Flex Felix.
Interesting what you say. Man United negotiating the signing of Darren Fletcher's lads, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
So they're coming through. It's like, and it's like, why have they gone to City when they could have been at United? And even like Robbie Savage's kid, he's coming through the ranks at Old Trafford as well. So
the comments, just a couple more here. Didn't Iqbal have a bust up with Eric Ten Hag, says Flex Felix? We discussed that. Uncle Duke is saying Tate, the great in the house. That's you, Andy, supporting the Jedis out here.
Thank you.
And Shopping Solutions say maybe Iqbal is not good enough for Ten Hag's system. Maybe he knows best, doesn't he? Uncle Dubis again saying Utrecht, it used to be the eternal 10th. Ten Hag made them 5th in the league. Utrecht is Ajax bogey team. Think Wolves. It's not a bad club for Zidane to claim the spot. Don't forget Hala and came through Utrecht as well. So that's the big striker.
Maybe, yeah. You know, I'm maybe beginning to think that maybe Ten Hag is doing. I like what Andy was talking about, building bridges and that. Maybe there is something going on there.
Yeah, we just don't know. I think that's all on Zidane. But thank you, Uncle Dubious. He will be doing a Zidane watch and reporting into us because we don't get to see Dutch football all the time over here. So thanks, Uncle Dubious. I hope to hear a lot.
Can I just ask Utrecht, what's their average standing in the Dutch league? Are they mid-table? Are they fighting for Europe?
Well, Uncle Dubious just said they were 10th. They're always mid-table 10th, but Eric Ten Hag got them up to 5th. So, yeah, do you want to respond to that, Uncle Dubious, please?
See, look, Ten Hag left Ajax and they didn't win the league, so maybe they are a mid-table 7, 8, 7th or 8th maybe. But it's going to be interesting. I tell you what's not interesting, or is half interest. Barella, obviously, a lot of players, a lot of people lost their mind when he was linked with Newcastle. He's been linked with us, but I think he's also been linked with Liverpool. And I'll be honest, I assume he's going to be linked with Arsenal and Chelsea as well, and Bayern Munich. Is it somebody we need? I'll be honest, I don't know much about Barella. I know Matthew Bassett loves him. Matthew Bassett loves him to death. Thinks he's a top player, but I'm not. I don't know if he's just if it's just a much of a muchness type player. Monday, dig into your vast knowledge, Andy, if you can help. And guys in the chat, how good is Barella?
Well, Barella's come from a smaller club. I can't remember who he came from, but I've always kept an eye on him. They've always been highly touted in Italy. Obviously, he's gone to Inter. Inter is his club. That's his dream club, his boyhood club. He's a fan of them. So he's actually playing for his best club right now, and he's performing really well. He's small in stature, but a proper player, real good baller. I would say I can't really compare players like that, but he's got great technique, pops it around, gets about the pitch really well, can shield the ball really well. So not, even though he's small like Fred, he doesn't get moved up like that on the ball, and he's probably Italy's best linchpin player in midfield because he's 26 years old. When you look at the guy from Paris Saint-Germain who gets injured all the time in midfield, he's talented. I love him. Who?
Is it Verratti?
Verratti, yeah, Verratti.
Oh, I love him. Oh.
He's a top player. But they got another guy called from AC Milan who came from Brescia in their midfield as well. Tonani. So there's Tonani, who's a bit younger. Then there's Barella, and then there's obviously the guy from PSG. So I think he's a great player. I think he's obviously highly touted as well. I think it doesn't matter about transferring to the Premiership. I think he's got all the ability in the world, and I think he'd be a great fit for any top club. If you want to be going places, he'll be a first team player at Man United for sure, in my opinion. He's someone who can sort of link things together. He's got good playmaker as well. And he's got that aggression. What the best thing about him, I think, is mindset. He's a real proper player, and you only have to watch him play for Italy or watch him how Inter got to the finals. Was that Inter side better than Man United? Do you think would we have beaten that Inter side? I believe so, even though they're well drilled and well set up. But Barella was someone.
Inter side were better than Man City on that night.
They were, weren't they? But
even the most City fans have admitted it. They give him a game, and if
you have to consider as well. They play 5 at the back, so the 2 guys in midfield have to really get about the pitch, and that's why it's so key. And Barella stands out so much because when you play that kind of system with 5 at the back, and your midfield has to be everywhere, and the way they press from the front, as Andy was saying there against City, they really neutralised them a lot of the time, and it came from Barella and his midfield guys. They even had Brozovic on the bench because he didn't have the legs to get around like that to play that system. So Barella has got the energy, he's got the intelligence, he's got a lot about his game, and I think he is almost on that bubble of world class. So I think it'd be a great signing for Man United.
Andy,
I agree. It'd definitely be a good addition. Definitely one to watch. So you just don't know what happens in the future.
I just think there's too much teams linked with him already. I just think he's up for sale, and they're trying to maybe do an auction. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they sign him and he turns out to be a great player. I'm not sure. I'm really going to sit on the fence because I don't know enough about him.
Well, he came from Calgary. That's the side Montreal MEFC is talking about. Haven't watched Barella series. He says MK, but everybody's in love with him. Apparently, that's so true. Man United is saying, Andy, is that the new home kit you're wearing?
No. This is a training kit from 2019. I've got the new I've got the new shirt. It's on its way, and it's a hot one. That's all I can say. Hell, boy, free wheel van. You know, boy, sir. You know what I mean? And I've not paid the full whack, so I don't. It's like the Glazers ain't getting my money. It's going to somebody else from abroad. If you know, you know.
In response to what you're asking,
Mr. B knows. I told him last night.
You know, you're asking Andy about Utrecht. Uncle Dubis has come back and said, yeah, Utrecht upper mid-table, yes, sub-top, below the likes of Ajax, Feyenoord, and PSV. Sorry, I don't recall them ever being relegated. Used to be roughnecks like Feyenoord. Ten Hag improved their style of play. Engine, he's got an engine on Barella. He's Ballismo. Needs to be alongside Bruno, would be brilliant, more suited to Ten Hag, but I don't think it will happen. Inter have to sell. It's clear Inter have to sell players. We're looking at a left back as well from Inter. He's been talked about. I don't know why we're looking at left backs, but
Lukaku wants to stay at Inter. He wants to go back. So Inter have got to find some money. You know what I mean? Where are they going to get Chelsea?
Go get the goalie. Just go get the goalie.
Going to demand that what they paid for him.
Go and get the goalie.
Yeah, get the goalie. Unana. Is that his name?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah. Are you gonna sing?
No,
I thought you were gonna sing it.
That ringing around Old Trafford.
You're gonna. Oh,
I can imagine it now.
What a save! Unana. What a save! What a save! Hey, you could copyright that and release it on the agenda.
I'd be worried. I've always been worried with that name because I think, you know, someone might accuse them of someone being racist by rhyming that with banana, or something like that. You don't want to be
Great save by Unana. Unana. Unana save. Unana. What? Hey, Unana was always great. She always saved you. She was picking up from school and all that. Don't you give you treats?
Oh, God.
Big G's talking about Barella. Says he's a versatile player, can play anywhere across the midfield. I want taller players, says Viking Reds. Why aren't we going for Gravenberch? He used to play for Ajax and now at Bayern Munich. Can't wait to get my hands on the Rose of Lancaster too. I'd buy it after the days are out, says Montreal FC.
Get on the dodgy websites. You don't have to give the Glazers anything.
There's Nana. He plays in yellow. That's
Yellow. It must be
yellow. Okay,
yellow. Yeah, it must be yellow. Yeah.
Mr. B, you haven't said much about Barella.
Because I don't know much about him. I'll be honest. On Monday, I can't talk and say, I like to talk about players that I know. I don't know much about him. And,
I was setting you up there to sing a Rihanna song.
No, I'm not.
Barella.
You are such. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Lord.
1-0 for Mr. Armando in the last minute. Mr. B, it's over to you.
We got the karaoke kids in the house.
Andy, while we're there, how do these songs because you go to games and all that, how do these songs start? Like the one about Elanga, for example. Does someone go into studio or someone hand around him sheets or something? How do these songs start and how do they pick up so easily?
I don't know. Somebody's like say the TRA or somebody in Stretford End can make something up. I mean, that Elanga, I can't I can't remember what the song was. It was like a 90s song.
Rhythm is a dancer.
Yeah, Elanga is a dancer. It's after that goal gets round, you know what I mean?
Atletico,
yeah, and he scored a couple of goals, and he's like, he was shot into, like you say, we got rid of Martial and we brought Elanga in, and he's like, he took his chance, and it's a shame it's not worked out for him since. But the chanting around the ground that people make songs up, they write it down. I mean, I was singing stuff about the Glazers the other night, but I couldn't broadcast it. I was singing to myself. I was mixing it. I made a song up, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, about the Saudis and the Glazers and gyms. So I was like, I can't broadcast it, but I was singing it to myself. I was making a cup of tea and getting ready for bed. You know what I mean? Could have put that in, write it down, but you could never put it on. You could never broadcast it because you get blacklisted. Do you know what I mean? Censored.
Seiko Fofana is a wild midfielder, says Sports Chris. We should sign him from Lens in League One. Another great French player saying. Uncle Duba saying, I'd love an Italian midfielder, but they rarely come to the Prem. Even that little Chelsea man going to City is actually Brazilian. Who's that?
Who, Kovacic?
No, he's Serbian, isn't he?
Yeah. What are they talking about?
I can't imagine he's Okay. Yeah, I would like Barella.
I want to see that last one. this Ryan Giggs song has been hijacked by the City bin dippers. You know what I mean? Giggs will tear you apart again. You know, if you're gonna do something, do it originally. Don't be copying other people's songs, City. You may be the elite now, but I tell you what, you're still pathetic when it comes to ripping songs off. That's it. Make your own up, man. Make one about Jack Grealish and his turkey comment and Zambuca.
But hold on. We Leeds United used to sing "Ooh Ah Cantona," say "Ooh Ah Cantona."
Yeah, but they didn't appreciate his skills, so no, that doesn't count.
No.
That
What
doesn't count.
was Cantona's song for us?
Same one.
That was the same. "Ooh Ah Cantona," "Ooh Ah Cantona."
Yeah, it didn't have to be anything else.
Then we come up with everything else. You know, Eric the King. You know what I mean? 12 Days of Cantona and all that. Yeah, they were originals. You know what I mean? He just came into Leeds and he said it was a love affair. So the song couldn't be registered with the Leeds fans. So we took it, we copyrighted it.
There you go.
Good stuff. We done something there. Viking Reds are saying, yeah, like we did with the Cantona sing along. Leave a like. Oh, thank you very much, Uncle Dubious, saying leave a like for the video. Thank you. And I don't know if you know Vincent Demise. He's our Dutch correspondent, Uncle Dubious. So you two will be working for us from now on. Someone sign a contract with Mr. B, and you'll be with us for all the next season. That'd be great.
He's an hard boss, Mr. B. He'll push you.
I know.
And if you fail, you might eat the broccoli.
What's this? Viking Reds. Sorry, Montreal saying I can count on at least 4 songs chance involving Cantona. 4 of them. I don't know.
We'll drink to Eric the King. Cantona, 12 Cantonas. That's only 3 I can think of. If anybody could enlighten us on the 4th one. So yeah.
And Viking Red saying my best song is George Best's song, lads. What's the George Best song?
Find out what it is.
I don't know.
Georgie Best song, yeah, 10 Georgie Best, like something like that, yeah. Georgie the Belfast boy. That documentary on him in the 70s. Georgie, they call you the Belfast boy. That was a good one. my dad was in the documentary. You see him on the Stretford End. My dad's on a documentary, and the camera zooms in, and I've seen my dad, and he's got no front teeth.
So he's whistling.
In 1972.
He's whistling that song, is he?
Before I was born, in 1972, there's my dad on the Stretford End, no teeth.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Uncle Dubious got it wrong. He's talking about Jorginho, who's actually Brazilian, who's went to Arsenal, didn't he, in the end? And we will talk about this whole Fred situation tomorrow, Mr. B. Who's gutted right now, probably crying. And Uncle Dubious saying, where is this Dutch correspondent at? I think he's around Ajax. He's in the capital, Amsterdam. But you're used to be.
He loves gold.
All right, yeah. I'm happy with that. 1 out, 1 in. Hopefully, Barella will be the guy to come in and fill Fred's boots.
Do you think?
No comment.
Do you think we'll get anybody before that Wolves game or before the pre-season?
Yes, I do. 100. Please, Andy, don't do this to me.
No, I'm sorry, man, because this has got the vibe.
We will. I am so positive about the window. Yeah, we made a bid for Mason Mount that we knew was going to get turned down, but there's a figure in his head. We couldn't go with the figure that we want to pay. So I'm thinking it will be a slight increase with add-ons. And Mason Mount will 100% be there before we leave. It might only be 1, but the fact that Fred might not be going then means that, fair enough. It just needs, the process just needs to start. Whether it's somebody out to be replaced or somebody in, and the process needs to start.
Here's the thing, gents. If Ten Hag wants a player out, that player won't go, and the club say, you got to go. Or you say, but you can't, a player can dig his heels in. He don't have to move.
True. But I think, I don't know, someone, if you're not wanted, someone like at the age, like Harry Maguire, for example, everyone's saying he might dig his heels in, but it wouldn't be wise. He was playing yesterday, and he hasn't played many games for Man United this season. 18
times last season. He's played more for England. He had 8 games last season for United. he's played more for England. You can't World Cup games than United, and he thinks he's going to get in that Euro squad when there's up and coming talent. There's there's a lad challenging him from Aston Villa as well. Like you said, the lad at Man City who scored last night as well. Coming through, just finding your feet, and there's going to be that. If you're not playing regular, why should you get a spot in that England team and be a Southgate favourite?
Most certainly, I think Maguire for his wants to play in the Euros next season. I think he's going to have to leave, unfortunately. So I think if you're in a situation like Maguire, you might have to really consider. You don't want to be sitting on the bench like Donny van der Beek. Can we sell him off an injury?
He's going to go.
That might be difficult.
He'll be gone. I think he'll be gone.
I wish him all the best as well. As long as he's fully fit and he can play, and I really hope he rediscovers himself. Donny, I really do.
I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to comment on that one.
He's a Scouser, so don't listen to him. Mr. Hibbert. I like Mr. Hibbert. I know you're a Scouser, like. So jog on.
He's actually a bloody gooner. He knows the amount of shite that he talks.
We discussed it earlier, but Big G's asking again about the Adidas guy had been brought in. Can you guys just summarize for me? Because I don't know anything about that. I couldn't really pick it up from earlier what you were talking about.
Okay, so basically, he was working for Adidas. I'm not going to sit down and tell you what role that he worked for Adidas, but he left. And we've recruited him, but this deal's been set up for about 3 months. So when it was set up, I said at the time, he's coming in because there's going to be an Adidas sales boom. And as Big G's saying, he's got the contacts. And he's got the influence. So I just feel that he's coming in now. Yeah, I do. I really feel
kits, because them kits are fucking awful. Them kits are fucking horrendous.
Just talk about the black and white one.
I would not want to be like Liverpool with the white kit.
Yeah.
And I would not want to look like whatever that Newcastle kit, or is it green or whatever it is? It's absolutely disgusting. The third kit, that green and greenish one. I've seen Alanga wearing it, posing, and he's smiling. He's like, oh, he's smiling. Alanga like, oh God, why am I wearing it? Disgusting kit.
So wait, who are we sponsored by at the moment? Oh, we're sponsored by Adidas at the moment.
Yeah.
We are. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think Adidas has always been with us. I always remember as a kid, Adidas has always been like the shirt sponsor. As you can see there, Andy's shirt from the 80s. Always been Adidas and Sharp. Whatever happened to Sharp Electronics?
They went out of business. It had nothing to do with it. Had done nothing to do with Man United.
No. Just a quick story. Sharp Electronics in Manchester was right next to my school in the 80s. So I always thought that was a buzz. And they made the tellies, and all they do now, I think, is photocopiers, like Brother Man City. You know, there's a Brother warehouse up in Ashton somewhere, and it's still, they say they're still about. I think they just do photocopiers now. But the contract run out, and Sharp was iconic, and it became Vodafone. Yeah. But what a way for Sharp to go out winning the treble.
Not bad, eh?
Arsenal fan Annie Herbert says, I do love you guys. He's given us a fun. We love you too, Annie Herbert. Not Hibbert, Herbert. Yeah, I won't forget that. We have to do some shows next year, Annie. I haven't seen you on podcast for a while now, so hope you're well and all your family are well as well. So big up to you, man. I think, we're going to sign out now. It's coming up to an hour. Any other business, Andy? Anything you want to add? Have you heard anything on the grapevine?
Not heard anything today, mate. I've just been out. Woke up this morning, 9 o'clock. Absolutely Manchester bucking it. Absolutely rain coming down after about 3 weeks of sunshine. So it's like just like Manchester, nothing ever happens. Like a bit like Man United. Then something changes. I've heard rumours there may be an announcement in the next 2 weeks or something. It's something to do with Eid. I was talking last night on a podcast. Eid. Okay. Eid is, I think it's July the 1st, so it might have something to do with Qatar. So who knows? You could, or Gazumpum, Qatar announced it on the 4th of July, and wait to piss off the Glazers. So, announced it on the 4th of July. Oh, yeah, that's Independence Day for Man United, if we can say announce it then. Piss them off. Kick them up the arse and get them out. Announce it on the 4th of July. Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's it from us. We're going to sign out now. Big up to Stephanie Griffiths, by the way. She's saying United should be sponsored by Not Venture shirt.
Not very sure. I lack of decision making.
Vaseline more like. Sponsored by Vaseline because everything slips through the fingers.
Guys, it's been a pleasure having you on. Andy, Mr. B, we're signing out. 20 in the comments. Give us a like if you don't mind, guys. And we'll be back tomorrow at 8:30 as well with maybe another surprise appearance from Andy. Who knows? We're out from now. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.